This being your third season, it seems like you've been a lot more assertive or spicy this year.
Spicy? So? I don't know, really spicy. Smooth. I mean, I feel like for me, it's just my approach. It's just coming in and just trying to be dominant in anything the team needs. And so if that gives off spicy, which I really don't think it does, I feel like I'm like kind of quiet. Spice? No, I just not spicy. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that's just been my mindset, is just coming in and just being the player that I need to be for us. Whatever that looks like, it looks like.
The locker room was still buzzing after the final buzzer, the kind of noise that feels more like energy than sound. In that chaos, one line cut through and stuck. Never doubt what we're capable of. Aaliyah Boston didn't yell it for cameras. She said it for her teammates, and it resonated deeper than any highlight reel. It was a reminder born out of hardship, a rallying cry that carried the Fever to a place most analysts swore they'd never see this year: the postseason.
Playoff! Dub! That's how we clinch, baby! We can't! W. Playoffs! Bow! Yeah! Playoffs, baby!
Mitchell in transition lays that up and in for our first bucket of the game. Well, that's Sims off the cross again into the paint, lays it up and in.
For Indiana, this mantra wasn't just motivational fluff. It was survival fuel. Think about it. 5 rotation players lost, including Caitlin Clark, the centerpiece of their future. Most teams fold under that kind of weight. Instead, the Fever treated every loss like a call to harden, and every new face in the lineup as a reason to strengthen their foundation. That belief, that refusal to doubt, turned into the very identity of their season.
When you think back to the beginning of the season, if someone were to tell you, like, this is where you would be, this is your team, like, at the end of the season, like, genuinely, what do you think the reaction would be?
Probably no stinking way. You know, I don't think, thinking back to the beginning of the season, that anyone would have ever foreseen it going like this.
What makes the story compelling isn't just that the Fever survived the gauntlet. It's that they thrived in it. They didn't need a superstar to carry them. They built a culture where grit was louder than panic, and belief was stronger than circumstance. That one sentence from Boston wasn't scripted. It was the distilled essence of what this team became when everything seemed impossible.
Even if things looked like it got harder, for us it was about sticking together, and I think through everything you're able to see that, us play with joy, us play together regardless of who's on that floor.
On paper, the 2025 Indiana Fever season should have collapsed. 18 different players wore the uniform at some point, the kind of roster churn you normally associate with rebuilding teams, not playoff contenders. When Caitlin Clark was officially ruled out for the year, critics wrote the obituary on Indiana's season. The predictions were brutal. No star, no consistency, no shot. But this is where the story flipped. Instead of sinking, the Fever began to reshape themselves. They found chemistry not in stability, but in adaptability.
For whatever reason, you know, things happen, and you know, you've got to continue to put your best foot forward. You got to continue to stay the course. You know, this group has been forced to grow strong roots, and you know, teams can go one of two ways when those things happen. You either use it to pull you together and as motivation to continue to get better and do it for one another and do it for your teammates that have been lost to injury, or it pulls some teams apart.
And this is where you, the viewer, come in. If you've been following this journey, you know women's basketball is building something special right now, and it deserves more eyes, more voices, and more conversations. Our channel is still small, but every subscriber helps amplify this movement. So if you're watching, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, to push it into more feeds, and drop a comment below about your favorite Fever moment this season. Even better, we've put together a free guide to women's basketball growth trends and playoff analysis. You can grab it today at basketplay.online when you join our free newsletter. It's where we share exclusive updates, deeper breakdowns, and behind-the-scenes stories you won't see anywhere else.
When I look at this group, I'm just so incredibly thankful for the type of people that we have in this locker room, for the way that they have been able to continue to stay the course and bounce back and stay together. to pull for one another, to really be flexible enough to make space for different types of teams that we've had throughout the course of the year, and to continue to put ourselves in position.
Back to the Fever. What looked like an impossible season turned into a proving ground. Losing Clark didn't erase hope, it forced a new mindset. The roster adapted like a living organism, shifting with every injury and somehow coming out sharper. Every analyst who dismissed them underestimated the power of belief in a locker room. And that belief wasn't theory. It showed up in the way Indiana handled adversity possession by possession, week after week, until doubt had no place left to live.
Inside Howard, off the window, the bucket, and the foul. Heady three, knocks it down again. Lost the handle, gets it back, gets right to the hoop, and she drops it home.
Fever 94, Mystics 65. Indiana's in. And now you know, despite all the adversity, this incredibly resilient Fever team is going back to the playoffs in 2025.
Every team talks about resilience, but very few live it. When the Fever roster was shredded by injuries, head coach Stephanie White had two choices: scramble for a miracle or strip things down to their core. She chose the second. White simplified sets, cut down on overcomplicated rotations, and drilled her players on fundamentals that win games when talent gaps appear: defense, rebounding, and decision-making speed. It wasn't glamorous, but it was effective.
And more than anything, y'all, big picture-wise, this group, there would have been so many teams that would have folded with all we've been through. And we just kept getting better, and we kept getting tougher, and we kept becoming more resilient, and we kept figuring things out, right? Like, we've had like 7 new teams throughout the course of this season. and no matter what, we've been flexible, we've been accountable, we've put each other in positions to be successful, and we've continued to put one foot forward and stayed the course.
Her leadership turned chaos into clarity. By leaning on principles instead of stars, White gave her players a sense of control. They didn't need to reinvent basketball, they just needed to execute the details sharper than their opponents. That mindset allowed Indiana to withstand storms that would have broken other teams. And slowly, that identity of toughness and execution began to harden into something real.
You just don't know what she's going to do. I mean, she's so crafty with her shot decisions. Howard right to the hoop, high out the window. And she's slicing through that paint. Aims for back tap it. It ends up with aerial powers. Inside Howard, off the window, the bucket, and the foul by the rookie all-star Sonia Citron. Howard quickly back to the right line, back at 34.
Every season has a game that defines it, and for Indiana, it came in early September against the Washington Mystics. The Fever didn't just win, they dismantled them, 94-65. That 29-point blowout wasn't about flashy scoring. It was about suffocating defense. In the third quarter, Washington managed just 9 points. 9. That's not bad luck. That's a system swallowing you whole.
Dolson had to stay home because she had an occupied side. In terms of a cutter in her area, she stayed. Heady three, knocks it down again. Flip it. She's just such a solid stabilizer for Washington. Howard right to the hoop, lays it up and in. Fourth foul on Austin. Boston down low. Double tongue, drops back to Howard, who lays it up and in.
The game was a message. Indiana wasn't just hanging around the playoff picture, they were barging through the front door. The short-handed roster didn't blink when pressure mounted. Instead, they turned the screws tighter. You could feel it shift from maybe they can survive to no one actually wants to see this team in a series. That one night in D.C. reframed the entire season.
So Craves in there, get off and get loose. Mitchell three off the mark, long rebound ends up with Sims. It's Sims, nice pocket pass. Boston foul line jumper.
Aaliyah Boston is only in her second season, but she already plays like the pulse of a franchise. Her box scores don't always scream superstar. 12 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists against the Mystics, but they whisper control. When she's on the floor, Indiana looks calm. Off the floor, they look rushed. That's the mark of a true anchor.
Austin got that rebound. Here's Powers. Lost the handle, gets it back, gets right to the hoop. There she drops it home. 8 on the shot clock here for Citron. So free screen that. And then they got the switch they want. Oh, couldn't get it in. Tough turnover there for Washington. The loose ball collected by Dolson. And Citron brings it over half. Powers in the passing lane. No one to beat. Lays it up and in. See if they can get back to that and connect plays and stack possessions with that level of effectiveness.
Watch her closely, and you see how she bends games. She seals deep to create space for shooters. She snaps passes out of doubles before defenses can rotate. She crashes the boards not for highlights, but to extend possessions that wear opponents down. Boston isn't chasing numbers, she's chasing control. And that makes her the centerpiece of Indiana's new identity, the voice reminding everyone, don't doubt what we're capable of.
Of finishing plays. Here's Paul, guarded by Citron. Hanging, fading, kicks off the glass. My goodness. Be better served. Maybe 4 out, 1 in, and have him take turns with it. Oh. Clips and 3.
But here's where the story surprises you. It wasn't just Boston. Indiana's season became a chorus of unexpected voices. Odyssey Sims, signed on hardship, turned into a floor general who thrived under pressure. Aerial Powers brought instant scoring off the bench, her energy sparking runs that flipped games. Shea Petty knocked down threes and steadied the spacing when it mattered most.
Sims is also back for the Fever. Here's Petty in the corner. He knocks it down. Shea Petty also spent time here.
That kind of production from so-called role players is why the Fever stayed alive. Balanced scoring became their weapon. One night it was Powers, the next it was Sims, and then Boston holding the middle steady. Opponents couldn't key in on one name because Indiana kept rewriting the script. What should have been a weakness, constant roster change, turned into unpredictability. And unpredictability is poison in a playoff chase.
Thanks to Alicia Clark and stayed seamless with the philosophy and culture and playing with joy as being the top tier point of emphasis there. Mitchell in transition lays that up and in for our first bucket of the game.
Closing the season strong matters, and the Fever proved it by finishing with an 83-72 win over the Minnesota Lynx. That victory wasn't just about points on the board, it was about tone. Indiana showed they could win a game that mattered without leaning on star power. They dictated pace, controlled the glass, and punished mistakes.
I'm so proud of you guys. I mean, this was, we owned them in the second half. Hell yeah! 27 total points we had them to in the second half. 27 points off of turnovers. Hell yeah! And we took care of it. Only 7 turnovers for us. Woo! A complete team effort, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double figures. I mean, it was just all really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Now comes the real test, playoff matchups. Whether it's Atlanta, Las Vegas, or Phoenix, the Fever are walking into a best-of-3 series against proven contenders. The challenge is steep, but Indiana isn't sneaking in anymore. They've already beaten these teams during the regular season, and they're carrying momentum into the postseason. The message is clear. Underestimate them at your own risk.
Aaliyah, just through the adversity that you guys went through this season, especially maybe in August when people were going down left and right, did you guys feel like this was always possible to make the playoffs? Did you ever have moments of concern or doubt? And what allowed you guys to just keep, the eyes on the prize more or less?
Yeah, I think, just being someone in this locker room, you never doubt yourself and what you're capable of, no matter what happens. I think the entire staff, up to the head, just made great decisions when people went down on who to bring in, the type of people to bring in. And that was really our mindset. We never doubted ourselves. We never doubted that we could be in the playoffs. Even if things looked like it got harder, for us, it was about sticking together. And I think through everything, you're able to see that, us play with joy, us play together, regardless of who's on that floor.
Here's the twist. Maybe the injuries were the best thing that could have happened to Indiana. By losing Clark and others, the Fever were forced to grow beyond one star. They learned how to win with depth, how to rely on habits, and how to turn hardship into chemistry. That identity won't disappear when players return. It will strengthen.
Likes to get into their offense. You see Jade Melvin getting that defensive assignment on Mitchell. She picked her up pretty much three-quarter court. Boston baseline jumper falls. That's the advantage with Mitchell guarding her. 11-0 run right now for Washington. Boston got that baseline, misses, gets her own, and finishes.
What this season created is culture. A culture of resilience, of shared responsibility, of never doubting what you can do even when the odds are brutal. That's not temporary. It's the kind of foundation that teams spend years trying to build. Indiana built it in the fire of adversity, and now, with the postseason in front of them, that culture is their biggest weapon.
How would you describe the locker room after the game today, just being able to sell it? We didn't make a TikTok, so I think everyone is just super excited. Like you said, it hasn't been a perfect road. And so for us, it's enjoying the little moments while at the same time understanding we have another game on Tuesday and then we have to prepare for the playoffs. But I think just being in the moment and being where our feet are and kind of just enjoying this one.
So here's the real takeaway. The Fever aren't supposed to be here, but they are. They didn't crawl in, they stormed in. From the mantra in the locker room to the blowout in Washington, from Boston's quiet control to the bench's loud contributions, Indiana turned doubt into destiny. And now they're not just in the playoffs, they're the team no one wants to see. Before you click away, here's what you can do to stay part of this story. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button so more fans discover this content, and drop a comment with your prediction. How far can Indiana go in these playoffs? And don't forget, we've built a free newsletter at basketplay.online where you'll get exclusive women's basketball updates plus a free guide you can download instantly. It's the perfect way to stay connected as the Fever chase history. Indiana's season already gave us an answer to the question no one asked. What happens when you lose your stars but refuse to lose your belief? The answer is here, and the rest of the league better be ready. Because the Fever aren't doubting anything, and neither should you.